And our thanks to the Crest cheerleaders and East Lincoln. We got them together, so that was kind of cool. Hey there, everyone. I'm Jeff Taylor. That's Jack Taylor. Welcome to the Blitz. Round 3 of the high school playoffs have wrapped up for the night. Great night of some gridiron action.
Absolutely, yeah, a lot of exciting matchups, and there's one of the most anticipated games of the third round, which is West Charlotte, who welcomed Myers Park in a real big game for this area. Coming out of halftime, it's pretty much no surprise there, but a smaller score, 14-7, West Charlotte up over Myers Park. So West Charlotte with the ball coming out of half. They took 2 timeouts in this first drive, but they would pay off. Jasir Gray gets a huge run down the sideline
off
there.
to the races.
Yeah, but he looked like he might have even torn something, though, as he gets out there.
Wow.
He would go down and he would not come back in for the game. So Myers Park leaning on their playmakers. Got moved by the ref right there. But look at Jamari Nichols on 4th down, calling his own number, powering his way into the end zone. They called a timeout. Instead of kicking the field goal, going for it to make it 21-7 here to start. Now, in the ensuing kickoff, Myers Park recovering, taking it down the sideline. He's getting some ground, but the ball pops out right as he gets tackled.
Oh, not good.
West Charlotte picking it up with great field position for the ensuing drive. So it's going to set up West Charlotte with great field position and momentum throughout. Now, Jamari Nichols back at the goal line. He's going to hand it off to Jamil Watson, who bullies his way in for the touchdown. Now, Myers Park would gain a little bit of ground, but not nearly enough. Myers Park loses in this one. West Charlotte with a 34-21 win over Myers Park. Now, let's see who they'll be taking on next week, and no surprise here, Huff dominating West Forsyth, so West Charlotte will have to travel.
That's going to be a matchup.
To Huff, absolutely.
All right, on we go. Mooresville. They played host to Reagan tonight, and this one, folks, would be a thriller. Trust me on that. Early on, Brody Norman, the quarterback for the Blue Devils, doing what Brody Norman does, runs and scores touchdowns. Mooresville with the score. So Reagan's D says, hey, happens again. Let's focus on Brody Norman. So what does he do? Of course, he hands it off. Mooresville would go in for the score. This one was tied at the half. Now, late in the game, here we go. Reagan is going to score on a 60-yard touchdown play. This is impressive. Up in the fog and everything, they would go for 2 and they would get it. Their D got a stop, and Reagan goes on to win this one 32-31. It is a heartbreaker for Mooresville.
Absolutely. You know, Blue Devils community really couldn't handle that.
Yeah, and then next week, hey, guess what? You got to make the trip to #1 seed Grimsley, who beat Jack Britt tonight 55-12.
Yeah, that's going to be a rough one. Let's take a look at some other scoreboards from around the area as round 3 continued on. Independence getting a huge win over Richmond. No surprise there. Same with Weddington over Lake Norman. So Indy Weddington
that'll be a fun one.
Absolutely. All right. Catholic could not complete the comeback over Watauga, but Sun
Valley with a shocker.
No, I mean, you see
Sun
Valley.
Well, I say 4th and 5th, I know.
But 46-20 is huge, so they'll be traveling to Watauga next week.
That's the shock of the score.
Ashbrook still undefeated, beating Dudley by just a little bit, though, and then Kings Mountain falling to North Indian Guilford. So Ashbrook has to travel for the first time this postseason, try to keep their perfect score alive.
Hickory, 36-14 over Franklin. Big win for Hickory there. And, of course, J.M. Robinson continuing to roll on there, 41-33 over Grove. So those two will hook up.
Absolutely. All right. And then Brevard barely holds off over Burns. Mount Pleasant loses in overtime to Pisgah. So you're going to see Pisgah have to go to Brevard. A lot of action there in this one. We got more coming for you as well. Maiden, huge upset over Newton Conover. Big win there. And then Stuart Kramer could not get one over High Brighton. So Maiden will go on the road again to High Brighton.
Yep. All right. Stick around. More scores and highlights coming up from round 3, including a recap of our game of the week. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Blitz. I'm Kelli Bartik. The state championship was on the line tonight for the private schools. Providence Day, who lost the championship by 3 points last season, played host to Charlotte Christian. Kendall Lewis and Armand Brody were on the call, and they join us now with the recap.
We welcome you back post-game tonight, where Providence Day just made history here at Overcast Stadium. A perfect 13-0 season and the NCISAA state championship, 42-6. Over their rival Charlotte Christian from just down the road. Kendall Lewis alongside Armand Brody here with you in the press box postgame. Armand, how about that dominating second half we just witnessed? It was 14-6 at halftime. Just how about you think about 28 unanswered points in the second half? Their defense really got it going.
And it was all night long.
Yep.
They just made things so miserable for poor Elliott Newcomb and this Charlotte Christian offense. And as a result, you get all kinds of challenges from this offense all night. 42-6, as you mentioned. There's one turnover there forced. Meanwhile, Zaid Lott, 3 touchdown passes, 1 touchdown run, and big Aiden Gallows with 2 huge, exciting touchdown runs tonight. It was a complete effort for Providence Day on offense and defense. Just too much for Charlotte Christian to handle. How about this touchdown pass to a wide open receiver? That one's to Dempsey.
Yep.
And that was just one of the 3 touchdown passes from Zaid Lott here in this game tonight.
And you let the celebrations begin. 42-6, 5 state championships in the last 6 seasons for Chad Greer and the Chargers, and their first ever perfect record in program history. We say so long from Charlotte, North Carolina, from the NCISAA state championship.
All right, we roll on. Speaking of state champions, Monroe trying to defend their reigning state championship. They had a big game against the #1 team in the bracket. That's South Point. They get off to a hot start. Mario Jaja Jackson looking to silence the home crowd early.
Look at little Derrick Henry looking like.
Huge run there. And then next drive, disaster for South Point. They're going to go ahead and fumble it once. Nothing happens on that drive. But then the next drive, they fumble it again.
Can't do that in the playoffs.
Giving Monroe an easy setup for the touchdown here and get a really big lead to silence his home crowd. So Mario Jaja getting another one. But South Point does not go down without a fight. They're the #1 seed for a reason, and you're going to see it going on here. They're going to get some big plays in offense, and they end up winning 61-42, defending their #1 seed.
Congratulations to them. All right, Crest playing host to East Lincoln tonight. First time in school history these 2 teams have ever met.
That's wild.
Hard to believe. Early on in this one, it was all Crest. Eli Hamrick on the Chargers' first drives finds Brock Melton, who had gotten by the D. Crest up 7-0. Now Crest would add that lead. Jason Black gets the pitch, finds the sidelines, and will score from 20 yards out. The Chargers up 14-0. And then before the half, this is something I've never seen. Eli Hamrick takes a snap, look like he's going to be from quarterback sneak, goes through the legs. Guess what? Michael Edwards gets a score. Crest up 21-0. They're going to win 31-14.
All right, let's round out with some games now as we take a look at our final scores here. We got Lincolnton just getting the win over Mountain Heritage. North Stanley losing to West Davidson. Lincolnton gets the host next week. Shelby beating out Mount Airy. They're going to go to Eastern Randolph next week. CSD can't get it done against Murphy, so Corvian with the win has to go on the road to the 1 seed. Then Mount Island Charter loses, Starmount wins. And in South Carolina, we see Northwestern getting a big win over Gaffney, and Indian Land getting the win over Teohana. That's all we've got for you tonight.
That's it. Hey, Kelli Bartik, Jack Taylor, I'm Jeff Taylor. We'll see you next week.